Hey everyone, what up? Matt Kaiser here, and welcome to another review. And things are going to be a little bit different this time, as I'm covering what is the most recent and newest entry in the Fire Emblem series, which is Fire Emblem Engage. Now this serves as a late anniversary title celebrating over 30 years of Fire Emblem, made by Intelligent Systems and released for the Nintendo Switch on January 20th, 2023. And this review is coming from a new fan's perspective after beating Fire Emblem Three Houses, which was my first ever Fire Emblem game I played, and I really loved it. Not counting the spin-offs though, like Warriors or Warriors 3 Hopes. And more or less, I'll be reviewing this as a game, and will make only a few small comparisons to Three Houses. Just a few though. Not like those other reviews where they compared it too much. So, strap on your emblem ring on your finger and get ready to engage as we head to Fire Emblem Engage. So, what's the story? Well, Fire Emblem Engage takes place in the mythical land known as Helios, and 1,000 years ago, a large-scale war happened between two deities, being the divine dragon Lumera and the evil fell dragon Sombron. So Lumera used the power of the 12 emblem rings, which comprises of characters from past Fire Emblem games, to seal the fell dragon. And then, after that time has gone by, Elir, who is Lumera's child, and also becoming the next divine dragon, rises up from a long slumber, but also suffers from amnesia. It's only then soon, when the seal slowly starts to break, freeing Lord Sombron, and then Elir has given a new task and journey to not only gather new allies, but also the 12 emblem rings that has been spread across numerous nations in hope to defeat Sombron once and for all. So yeah, that whole synopsis sums up the whole plot of this game, and while it's simple and can be cheesy at times, I actually enjoy it, and this being more of an anniversary game and having emblem rings and whatnot, as well as the style of this game it's going for, I think it gets the job done. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and even if it does, it's not that much of a big tonal shift. And while yes, it's predictable, there were some moments of twists that actually took me by surprise and even made me feel emotional. And I think what helps are the characters, with the cast being mainly a big, colourful and fun bunch. Sure, there are some that are better than others and actually do shine in the overall story, and it being a single path is actually pretty good, but overall I do like a majority of them. Also helped is the pretty good voice acting, with many good performances like Laura Stahl as female Elir, helped by the fact that she can actually talk all the way through, Stephen Fu as Diamond, Robert Burr as Ivy, so on and so forth. They all have fun personalities, and the supports for the cast are mostly solid. Some just for fun interactions, and a little bit of learning more about the characters, though all of them are pretty short, which I kind of don't mind, even if from my experience I still barely know some. The villains on the other hand are actually pretty solid for the most part, will probably be the standouts that are big being the Four Hounds, serving as the evil generals and rival team to our main heroes, a thing I do enjoy in fiction. I love them having great designs, performances, and even some motives of why they served the fell dragon. There even was some solid bosses from them, who are probably my favorites between Zephyr and Marver. So, while the story is simple, I think it's solid enough, and some characters, while they may not have too much depth, I still like the majority of them, with Yunaka, Elir, Ivy, Vale, Diamond, Seedal, Marin, Panette, Tamara, Fogado, Zephyr, and Marvia, etc. Now we get to the visuals, and good gosh, Fire Emblem Engage has probably some of the cleanest visuals I ever seen for a JRPG, especially one on a Nintendo Switch. Not to say that Free Houses look bad or anything, I did like the character art for that game, but the environments and some bits during gameplay just didn't look great. With Engage, things do look like they have got an upgrade, and it just looks pretty overall. And while some people do have mixed thoughts about the art style, I actually like it. The character designs are all vibrant, which suits well with the tone of the game, and call me crazy, but I do actually enjoy Aaliyah's toothpaste hair and heterochromia eyes. I dig it actually. And the emblems themselves don't look too bad either. Even if they have some of the same blue eyes, just looks kinda odd. The environments in this game look great, and so do the maps. And the combat animations, especially the crit animations, just look epic. The UI is actually pretty clean as well, and actually this game does run well on the Switch, not only having better load times than say Free Houses, but having a bit more smoother, consistent performance, even if it only dips during battle transitions and some really powerful spell effects. Overall, I have to say that I just love the presentation of this game. So we get to the gameplay. Now, Fire Emblem Engage is a turn-based strategy RPG, with having multiple units in different classes and weapons, as well as positioning them in available spots for said strategy, with the goal of routing all the enemies in the map. With Engage, they feature a staple in the series known as the weapon triangle, even if some games do omit it or have different variations. Anyway, now this weapon triangle consists of having each main weapon being either weak or strong against. For example, swords beating axes, lances beating swords, and axes beating lances. There's also another one which has gauntlets, daggers, as well as arch bows and magic. And of course you have your usual things like say archers are capable of taking down flying units, or magic wielders destroying armored units. But there are also additions to things like the weapon triangle having a thing called break, where with the right weapon and choice you are able to break the enemy, causing them to not only drop their weapon but also prevent them from countering attack for a turn. There's also Smash, where if you use particular weapons that have the ability to smash, you are able to knock down the enemy so hard it pushes them back from another piece, from another point. Though the trade-off is that you can't attack first, even if it is your turn. There are also things like say chain attack and chain guard, form of which you can have multiple units align and team up to attack alongside your regular attack on an enemy, and the latter where characters are able to shield your unit from taking damage. And of course, this game having been a Fire Emblem game, having the occasional critical hits. But the big thing that this game has going for is the engage mechanic, where characters can pair up with an emblem to gain bonuses as well as some skills and advantages. Not only that, but they can be able to engage and fuse them to become a stronger unit, with the duration lasting for at least 3 turns. However, you can be able to refill your engage cycle after that by going to some engage pools or doing certain actions that refuels them slowly. And these engaged forms will have even special attacks based on each emblem. There's also mentioning of customization of changing units, weapons or classes, inheriting skills from emblems, or just using any emblem on any unit that suits your playstyle, and doing so is pretty fun. There's also the time crystal, which is like a divine pulse, where you can rewind back time to your turn just in case you make a mistake or if an enemy or if a unit is killed, or in this case if you're playing on the normal difficulty, defeated, which is a solid option. Overall, the combat is easily one of the best things about this game, and I might actually enjoy it a bit more than Three Houses, though I did like its gameplay too. I think this game overall put me at the edge of my seat. The only few gripes I had is that some of the later parts, especially in like the main story or even the paralogs, there seem to be like infinite enemies reinforcement spawns that happens just every time when I get close to defeating the boss, which I really wasn't fond of. Another is the skirmishes are just a bit more hard and a bit of a slow to do when grinding, which I know it's the intention to not over level and such, but at the same time I would have loved it if it was an opportunity to try out some units that I hadn't had the chance to use. And speaking of the unit limit, which depending on the map's story or quests, it's all over the place, in cases where some chapters will introduce 3 new units and another chapter will introduce more. Chances are that most of the characters I had in the past, aside from a few, would just be nothing more but to be benched. It's really annoying at times, and not gonna lie, some of the maps did annoy me a bit, but the rest of them were actually pretty good. Not only that, but every after battle, you get to actually even explore the maps to grab items, fragments, and adopt pets. And this game also has a world map, so it's a bit more streamlined here. Overall, I think the gameplay is amazing, and did engage me, no pun intended, as well as the fact that it just gave me a nice good challenge, especially when it's a bit more harder than Three Houses personally, mostly due to the fact that, well, if your main character dies or gets defeated, even on the casual difficulty, the game will be over. And not to mention, the crit animations are really so satisfying to pull off. And then we get to the music, and well, it's pretty nice all around. It does have some epic tracks, as well as some nice relaxing ones, and the remixes of certain tracks on past Fire Emblem games do sound awesome. And while it's cheesy as hell, the opening still slaps. So for now, I'll just play a few tracks here to see what I mean. Then we get to the content. Now, Engage has lots of things to do, one of course being the Somnial, which is like your hub, and almost similar to the monastery, though this is 100% optional, and you just only go there a few times mandatory. Here you get to partake in some mini games like exercising, fishing, riding a wyvern, as well as being able to have your party members cook, take photos, train your allies and emblems, as well as buy new items, weapons, and upgrade them. as well as even polishing your emblem rings and gain support rings. There are also things like having trials as well as online stuff, being able to make your own map and do some relay trials involving online co-op. And of course there are things like the supports and bonds, which are short but sweet interactions with your party. There are also the aforementioned skirmishes, side missions to fight enemies that can be tough, as well as paralogs, some that grant you special party members, as well as other ones being emblem paralogs, which allows you to fight emblems on familiar past maps, with remixed tracks to not only max the bond levels, but also serve as some nice fan service, especially when the emblems reference some of their events from their game of origin. There's also stuff like the DLC, which currently, as the time of this video, as I had to update it because of the Nintendo Direct, has 2 waves currently already out. Wave 1 bringing 2 emblems, one that has the 3 house leaders, Edelgard, Dimitri and Claude from 3 houses, and the other one being Tiki from Shadow Dragon, on top of having her own paralog, with Wave 2 having things like Hector, Soren and Camilla with their own maps. There of course will be another wave having more emblems and as well as a new story expansion known as Xenologue. Really? Xenologue? There's also things like a silver card, which yes, I know it's a bit much to have like a day 1 DLC for a game like this. Though for the sucker I am, I did buy it just to get wave 1. Sadly there is no New Game Plus, but overall you can still replay it to at least do things, like of course playing it on harder difficulties and all that stuff. And not only that, but overall this game took me about like 46 to 50 hours to beat thus far. And now we jump to the conclusion. So, Fire Emblem Engage was one of my most anticipated games for this year, and have to say it did not disappoint. I went to this game knowing that I was going to have a blast with it, just like with 3 houses, and I'm glad it delivered. The combat, the music, the visuals and everything else it nailed upon. While I may not have the strongest story or characters out there, both aspects were still enjoyable enough for what they did rather than what they didn't do. So, with me loving this and 3 houses, I'm now a fan of Fire Emblem, and has made me eager to check out all the titles, and eagerly wait for the new ones, especially if one of them has to be the genealogy of the Holy War remake. Overall, I'm giving Fire Emblem Engage 4 summies out of 5. Anyway guys, thank you guys so much for watching, so punch that like button, drop down a comment, and click that subscribe button if you're new. I'll see you guys in the next video. Mad Kaiser out.